Hey everybody, this is Perch. Have you enjoyed being back in conventions? Is it been good? Have you gone to a convention since COVID? I've been to a few. They don't feel the same. Even down in Texas, where apparently COVID never actually occurred, it's not the fun kind of lighthearted experience it used to be. There's just enough elements of kind of I mean, here's the thing: conventions were never well organized. Is my point. I mean, I'm sure you've been to one that was like, oh, this is pretty good. I mentioned I went to one in Puyallup. It's tiny, and it was well organized. Far better than Emerald City, which is always a cluster, or New York City. Or I mean, just when you get in, it's fine, but it feels it's weird because it feels like you're stepping in to a process and a system from like 30 years ago, and there's just somebody at a counter typing shit into a computer. It's like there's visual identity. There's all kinds of quicker ways to make this move about. But regardless, this is not a comic book only problem. You go to different conventions for different industries. It still is like, you know what? We're going to hang on to the same old way that we've always done it because that's protecting our jobs, and that's how. And fine, but anyway. But this is taking a different angle about conventions. It says, should conventions really have safe spaces? All right, I have seen a couple of those. Emerald City would always have the safe space kind of zone in the convention. It was always a little weird because you're coming to the convention and your car is just like in the parking lot below the convention. I think there's your safe space. Why are you making a room of a safe space? I don't know. It seems odd, but let's see if this listener can figure it out. It says, "Hey, this is somewhat related to comics. That I wonder if comic book conventions are doing this. I used to go to the Arisa Science Fiction Convention every year for a few decades. I haven't gone for the last few years because I can't afford it. I'm still on the mailing list though, and I get the emails list updates regularly, and you will until you die." Anyway, the last one, however, made me regret less not being able to go. This is the first part of it. Arisa will once again have our Artisans of Color Safer space, AOCSS, a racial affinity space for okay, Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC, to gather as part of Arisa's commitment to social justice and inclusivity. We thank longtime community member OPME Parham for running the AOCSS this year in a cozy lounge. Well, it's nice, it's cozy space. The AOCSS will be available throughout the weekend as a safe space for renewal, unstructured conversations, and collaboration. I always like it, by the way, when colleges and convention people call this is a place for unstructured conversation. It's a conversation that, congratulations, you made the table area at the Starbucks. What I always think is it creeps me out because it's like, this is okay for unstructured conversation, unlike places where it is not okay for us. Like, wait a minute, what's that one? Like, I don't. What? This is a place where we're going to talk about the topics, damn it, that we lead. That's it. Unstru. We've created a space. Hey, guess what? I, Perch, am proud to announce that I have created a space for unstructured conversation, and it is the largest space in the world, and I'm announcing it here today. It's called Outside. And if you go outside, you can have unstructured conversation with people who identify as whatever they want, or yourself. You can have conversations with people who identify as air. Unstructured. You're welcome. Anyway, here we go. We ask that this boundary be respected by white Artisans. Oh, wait, sorry, I missed a sentence. Hang on. This space is retreat for BIPOC convention participants only. We ask this boundary be respected by white Artisans. But if you self-identify, if you really want to go into the cozy lounge, you could just be like, you can identify as whatever you want and go on in there, right? I mean, what are they going to question how you identify yourself? That'd be very bigoted. All right. Please be mindful of the ways you demonstrate curiosity or share opinions about this affinity space. What? Please consult the Artisans of Color Safer Space. You may, by the way, wonder, it's like, oh, he's trying to say artisans and saying it barely. No, that's the name of this thing, Artisans. Please consult the Artisans of Color Safer Space, What's safer? Guideline and welcoming page for details. Food and snack offerings will be different this year. As mentioned before, the con suite will have snacks and drinks. There will be designated space for people who take their masks off to eat. In order to reduce germ transmission, we're focusing on having a variety of individually wrapped snacks, individual pieces of fruit, and single serving drinks. that's that little bit doesn't match the first half. That's we're gonna create a unstructured conversation space. I mean, I, again, this is me, and I don't know my imagination, but this is me feeling like that's like incredibly racist. Okay, we're setting up a little room. We made it cozy. It is a cell, and all of the the self-identified non-white people can go in there, and we'll allow them to have unstructured conversations in this tiny little prison. That's what it sounds like. I'm sorry. I guess I can leave whenever they want, but good Lord. Okay. All right. Back to the mail. None of this really sounds fun to me, you think? I don't doubt the con will still be fun for those who attend, but has fandom gotten to the point where this is the major selling point? Safe spaces? I once spent 20 minutes in an elevator arguing with a Klingon about if a kind and loving Christian God would create the Klingon race, so I'll bet that was fun. He argued that compared to Klingon gods, all the other gods were wimps. All right, that's pretty awesome. He stayed in character. Then we argued about politics, and after that, we got off the elevator and went to watch The Wizard of Speed and Time. The next part of the update cheered me a bit. Oop, that's my car telling me I'm too close to a ghost. It doesn't beep. It's like beep. You're too close to something, and then I look around like nothing is close. I have to imagine little animals driving around. I don't know what's going on. All right, here comes the next part of the mail. We will be having Nerf wars for children and adults. If you want to participate in the Nerf wars, bring your blasters. Each runner has a few, but you definitely want to come prepared if you can. Each event runner, I gotcha. So it seemed there was still some fun to be found, but they went on with this. We still have room for more volunteers. In particular, our incident response team, IRT, why all the fucking acronym, is looking for people. The IRT staff is available throughout the convention to take reports of concerning incidents from attendees. This is one of the many ways that Arisa works to improve safety at con. Well, I mean, that's fair when you do need security there. It is. I grant you, it's a little disconcerting to hear people say that. What was that line? The super creepy line about the safer space. We ask to be mindful of the ways you comment or share opinions about the space. Yikes! All right, that's terrifying. Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. It said, this reminded me of the last Arisa I managed to go to, held at Park Plaza. It did feel very oppressive at times. In the old days, I'd used at least 4 rolls of film. At the last one, I was kind of worried about taking any pictures at all or looking at people lest someone with a stopwatch call me out for looking too long. Does a con really need this sort of group of watchers? If so, maybe it's not a con I'd want to go to anyway. I think that if I could afford to, I'd still go, but I'm still not sure how much fun I'd have. I'm sure you get to more conventions than I do. Are other conventions setting safe spaces and inclusions over fun? Well, yes, but I mean, the problem is it's not like somebody's sitting there going, "Do we pick inclusion or fun?" Not sure. They to them the inclusion is the fun, right? And it can be. We'll get more to that. I mean, it doesn't. You should. Well, I mean, let's finish the mail and I'll get to it. On the other thing you could mention is if you get a chance, pick up a book called Alternate World Cons and again Alternate World Cons. Okay, Alternate World Cons and again Alternate World Cons. Okay, that's a clumsy title by Mike Resnick. Oh, that's a good writer though. Which features stories of world science fiction conventions, past, present, and future, but all of them with a Twilight Zone Outer Limits twist. Okay, cool. So, I mean, that what's there to say? It's silly. But the problem with a lot of this stuff is it all comes from, in general, a good place. But when I mean, you know what? That's not true. I retract that last statement. The core idea of a lot of this stuff, the seed, if you want to believe that no one was around to manipulate, the original seed was, hey, we want to hold these events and we want everyone to feel welcome. We don't want somebody to feel like they don't belong. And geek culture whether it's science fiction stuff or comic books or whatever else, there's been that problem. It's not gatekeeping. It's just it takes more courage to follow some of these hobbies that are less defined, more unusual, harder for people to wrap their head around. And so, you want to welcome more people, and there's nothing wrong with that. The challenge is this. That and I debate somebody on this. I remember having a fierce argument with somebody where like, no, the idea was always about control. No, the original idea, get people in, let people, inclusion. The challenge isn't with that idea. The challenge is the jackasses that come along into that idea relatively quickly and want to control it. There, people, human nature, people want to figure out kind of their power structure in all of this. And so people come in and go, well, here's a huge opportunity to, enforce this fun and get a little power in the process. And that's a lot of that's where it goes wrong. It does not go wrong by saying, you know what, we want everybody to be able to come and attend and have fun. And we want everybody to feel like they're not going to get harassed if they're there. Okay, including, by the way, women. If women are coming in and in cosplay, and if they're coming in, they're cosplaying comic character, showing off plenty of skin and curves. You want that's taking a bit of courage and bravery to be able to go out there wandering around like that. That's good for that. And it's okay to say, hey, women who are running around like that should not have like guys running up and slapping them on the ass. That is fair. That would be a very different kind of convention. Okay. The challenge is you take that rule and then you put somebody in charge of it who's a little bit of a power control freak, and then suddenly it wanders from, hey, you shouldn't look for more than 2 seconds. It becomes that. Yet the entire nature of a cosplay costume, you're going to look at it. If the girl's very attractive, you're going to look longer. I'm sorry, just like if some guy comes in who's got Henry Cavill's physique and he's wearing Superman Warworld costume, where it's basically a little red Superman diaper and chains, and he's just flexing and walking around, women are going to look at that. People are going to look at it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's all about control, and it's not the idea. Again, the idea, let's have everybody feel welcome. It's about the twisted people that set out to enforce that idea, and in general, those people are nuts. And for what it's worth, usually white. That's weirdly how that happens. I'm just toss that bit out there. There's been plenty of these kind of convention, safe space kind of D&I kind of programs that have gone in. It's almost always white dudes who run those. Just pointing out an observation. I think the more that happens, the more the convention is saying we're actually not for everyone. I'm sorry, and you're welcome to disagree, and I understand once again that the idea of having a room where white people can't come, that's a bad idea. You're supposed to learn how to include each other, get along with each other. That was the goal. If you're coming into this saying, well, we need a space because people won't feel included if white people are there, then you're not doing your job in the inclusion part. You're not. And if your fear is that like some white person is going to come in and just start ranting like crazy anti-Semitic racist stuff, if you think that's what's going to occur, then sure. First of all, if it is actually racist stuff, it can't be something like what was one the Emerald City Comic Con was like, we're suggesting people don't talk about Fight Club, which I thought was a funny joke because you don't talk about Fight Club. That's like the number one rule. But no, Fight Club was on a list of misogynist films that included, I think Rick and Morty was on there. There's a large handful of films. American Psycho was on there. It's like these films are all tools of the patriarchy, and so we're suggesting people don't talk about them. You can if you want, but we're suggesting. And I mean that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, no. If somebody comes into a room and starts talking about getting rid of all the minorities, yeah, that person's nuts. Kick that person out. That is a solid thing to do. Don't care if they buy a ticket. If you know, use the litmus test. If you walk into an Arby's, God help you, and you start shouting about how much you love Fight Club, you know, that's going to be a little weird. If you shout loud enough, people are going to ask you to leave after you buy your 5 for $5 deal. But if you come in shouting truly racist stuff, you know, they're going to kick your ass out immediately. Maybe you beat it on the way out the door. That you know, I don't think this stuff is that hard, and people have made it very, very difficult. Anyway, no, that convention doesn't sound like fun. Um, I hope things turn around because all of these efforts are doing the opposite of that original, I think, good idea, which was let's have everybody feel welcome. That is the original good idea, and it is a good idea. But you shouldn't twist ourselves into knots. You shouldn't make it crazy in order to make everybody feel welcome, and you shouldn't change the core of what it is to make everybody feel welcome. Think of comics like a store where the door should be open. Anybody who wants to walk in that door is welcome to, as long as they're not there to cause mischief, they're welcome to walk in that door. But the store still has what it has. You know, people who walk in the door can't turn around and say, you know what, I would feel more included if the store was completely different. No. You're welcome to come shop in the Walmart. But the Walmart shouldn't turn into, I don't know, Staples because you would feel more comfortable in a Staples. Go into Staples if you feel that way. The Staples door is also open. You got a space for yourself. Anyway, thanks for sending that in. Yeah, absolutely in comics. And any of the rest of you have any occurrences, events like this? It sounds terrible. I mean, this isn't this to me, I understand you people label this the culture wars and all the rest, but it just sounds miserable. Like it doesn't need the fancy culture war label. It just that the label there is that sounds terrible. Thanks for listening.